Support for this show comes from Lead Quizzes. Lead Quizzes helps you easily set up high-converting quizzes to capture and qualify leads for your business. Visit leadquizzes.com/podcast to get a 14-day free trial today.
Every job that I was trying to find or apply for required a college degree, required Oracle certification. Keep in mind, I didn't even know Oracle certification. And even worse, it required a high school degree, right? This is going to work. I'm not even old enough to graduate high school. So I was shit out of luck, and I'm like, man, there goes the six figures. So then as I was browsing that site, monster.com, I was like, wait, these guys make hundreds of millions of dollars as a job board. Let me just copy these guys. And that's how it started.
From Lead Quizzes, it's Journey to Seven Figures, a show about entrepreneurs and the stories behind how they grew their business to seven figures and beyond. We cover the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the lessons they learned along the way. All right, so welcome back to Journey to Seven Figures. Today I'm interviewing Neil Patel. Chances are you know Neil from one of his marketing blogs where he gets over 1.1 million monthly readers. Maybe you've used one of his multi-million-dollar software companies that he started, including Crazy Egg, Quick Sprout, Kissmetrics, and Hello Bar. He helps companies like Amazon, NBC, GM, HP, and TechCrunch grow their traffic and revenue, and he's recognized as the top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 30 by President Obama. I'm very excited to interview him today and learn from his journey to seven figures. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. Well, Neil, let's take it back to the beginning. How did you start getting involved in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so when I was young, I tried finding a job because I wanted to make six figures. I was around 15, 16 years old. I went online. I tried searching for high-paying jobs. At that time, technology was booming, like Oracle, Microsoft, all those companies were booming. I tried finding a job, being an Oracle consultant, because I heard people who do that make a lot of money. I went to monster.com, which was a popular job board back then. There was no, Indeed or LinkedIn wasn't really popular back then. And just tried finding a job. But there was an issue. Every job that I was trying to find or apply for required a college degree, required Oracle certification. Keep in mind, I didn't even know Oracle certification. And even worse, it required a high school degree, right? This is going to work. I'm not even old enough to graduate high school. So I was shit out of luck, and I'm like, man, there goes the six figures. So then as I was browsing that site, monster.com, I was like, wait, these guys make hundreds of millions of dollars as a job board. Let me just copy these guys. And that's how it started.
Okay, so what did you do next there? You built this job board business?
Yeah, shitty name. I called it Advice Monkey. I don't know why, but someone gave me that name. I was like, okay, sounds good. Bought the domain name, paid a few people like $1,000 to create a site, got something up. And then I'm like, all right, now I got my site. And then boom, no revenue, no traffic came in.
All right, so that's a big problem. So did you give up at this point, or what happened next?
No, I was also 15, 16 at the time, right? So I didn't know any better either. I didn't know how to make it generate revenue. I just did more Googling, more searches, and I'm like, oh, everyone's doing this thing called SEO. Let me pay a few people to do SEO, got ripped off, learned it on my own, got good at it, started getting a lot of traffic and rankings, and then boom, still wasn't making any revenue. I got little visitors though.
All right. So any of the SEO strategies you used back then, are any of those still relevant today?
Link building's still relevant, but back then it was so much easier.
Okay. All right. So you weren't making much money. So at this point, you could experiment with some different revenue models, or did you move on to your next thing?
Yeah, well, I continued forward. I didn't know how to make revenue, but I got good at the marketing. And I continued forward in which I kept practicing marketing on the job board, but I gave up in which I was like, screw doing a job board. I'm just good at marketing. So I decided to take some nighttime college classes while I was in high school. My first one was speech 101. I gave a speech on how Google works. Someone in there hired me to do their SEO, right? And that's how my career pretty much started.
Okay, so then you went into an agency at this point?
I created an agency. I had my first paying client. It was somewhere around $5,000, plus or minus a few thousand here or there. Technically, it wasn't plus, but I know my contract cap was around 5,000. Although I believe my first pitch was hourly, at 100 and something an hour. Then from there, it was just monthly retainer, and it grew up to 5,000 really fast. And then did well for them, and they introduced me to more and more companies. And that's how we started.
Awesome. Were you nervous pitching this at first, or did you just go in and say I'm just going to throw this number out there?
I threw it out there. I just pulled out the number out of my butt, and I was like, this is what I'm going to charge. And they accepted. But I didn't know what I was doing. Like the $5,000 may seem like a lot, and it's still good money even today. But keep in mind, I was generating over $25 million a year in revenue.
This is for this company or for yourself?
For the company, not for myself. I wish for myself.
Okay. Yeah. So you had a really good sized client that can afford to pay you.
Yeah.
All right. So that's good. You start taking on some more clients, and then what happens? Are you hiring people on your team? Like, are you just building it through word of mouth?
No, just word of mouth. And then the business grew. And then I started creating my own website, doing SEO, ranking on Google, right? Went through the whole motions for doing all that stuff. So,
okay. So as you're starting to build the agency, are you getting them on like monthly retainers?
yes, everything is monthly retainers.
Okay. So you're building in like some recurring revenue, which is good. And then are you feeling like, are you starting to cap out? Because like, how old were you when you first started this agency?
16.
Okay. So I'm guessing you didn't have a lot of background experience in building a team or training them or setting metrics.
I had tons of experience.
You did?
No, I'm joking.
Did you start learning this on the fly, or did you go to books, or did you have mentors?
No, I learned it on the fly. And like, it's funny, when you get a check from a company, they're like, who should we make this out to? That contract? I made up my own company name. I didn't realize you actually need a real incorporate or LLC in the United States. I was like, pay this out to Neil Patel Incorporated, like, I didn't realize you need a corporation. Because then when you go to the bank and try cashing the check, it creates problems, right?
Yeah. That's funny. Okay. So like, how long did it take for you guys to start doing marketing for yourself?
6 to 9 months later. So I was still 16, 17, but I was a solo shop till at least 17 and a half, 18.
Okay. But that's good. I think a lot of 7-figure agencies, I know they never really figure out their own marketing. They always rely on referrals and networking. So What made you decide to start investing in yourself like that?
I made money. So why not do more of it? That's the only way I knew how to make money. I didn't have too many other options. I wasn't even graduated from high school.
Okay. So you started doing SEO for yourself. What were some of the strategies you started to use like when you first got started?
Put the keywords on the page, high keyword density, add them to title tags, add them to meta descriptions, add them to URL, and reciprocal link building. That's how I started off.
Awesome. All right. So you start building this, you start getting word of mouth clients, you start doing your own SEO. How far does this take you as far as like revenue before you hit another roadblock or plateau in your business?
We got to 100, 200,000 a month pretty fast.
Okay. How long did that take you?
Few years.
And then did you do this by yourself or did you bring in a partner?
I had a co-founder, Heathen Shaw. He's my brother-in-law.
Awesome. All right. So you run the agency for how long? How long did you keep that running for?
I have no idea on years, but it was a good amount, over 5.
Okay. And then, so what happened next?
We're dealing with some big clients like General Motors and stuff like that, managing tons in pay-per-click, like $5+ million a month just for 1 or 2 clients. And we saw that all these websites, people doing pay-per-click back then would just buy traffic and they wouldn't understand what converts or what doesn't. And there was a lot of wastage, like millions and millions a month of money spent on ads that didn't generate even $1. So we created Crazy Egg to help solve this problem.
All right. So before we get there, I guess you're managing some of these clients like $5 million a month. Like that's a pretty big client. How are you able to get in front of and like close some of those major clients?
Speak at conferences. You speak enough, someone will end up paying you. That was a model back then. It works well still today.
All right. So you're trying to do a better job of converting. So how do you come up with the idea for Crazy Egg?
Well, a lot of people we found were good at reading data and numbers. So we created a visual product.
And so were there other products like this out there at the time, or how did you come up with this idea of heat mapping and that kind of thing?
Group effort. It was a mixture between my co-founder, I, a developer, and our designer.
Okay. And then you guys didn't have any like kind of product development background, did you?
Nope.
Okay. So what were some of the first steps of like starting Crazy Egg?
Get it designed and you just keep calling until you find developers to help you out.
Okay. So you guys had some money like to actually invest in developers, or were you like bootstrapping this when you first launched it?
Nah, we bootstrapped almost all our companies except one.
All right. So you guys designed it, you start to build it. And then what's the next step from there?
You market it, you get it out and you get users. So what we did is we advertised on all like the CSS galleries. Back then CSS was popular. Now no one cares for CSS. And then we also hit up like all the bloggers, like the TechCrunches of the world, and gave them a free account. And back then it wasn't hard to get people to write.
What is CSS out galleries? Is that like a blog?
The CSS galleries are like websites that showcase new designs and stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, I got you. Okay. So CSS galleries, and then you start to go after press. Did you guys have any kind of special angle that you were using to pitch to try and get covered?
Not necessarily. Nothing specific like press or anything like that. No, it was just more so we went out there and we just gave free accounts and see what happened.
All right. You started getting picked up by like TechCrunch. Like how much customers did this drive you? A lot of times press can be hit or miss.
With TechCrunch and all that kind of stuff, it took not much. See, back then, TechCrunch wasn't as popular. So when you email the editor and you just give them a free account, like there wasn't a team of like 5 or 6 people at TechCrunch. It was like 1 or 2 people, right? Like people writing for free. It wasn't really a business. You just like when you hit up Pete Cashmore from Mashable, back then he owned it, and he was the only writer and he lived in Ireland or wherever he lived. You'd be like, oh, cool. Sounds good. Thanks. Like there wasn't much to it.
Okay, so maybe a learning lesson there is like maybe not going after these top publications right away, but some smaller ones that are easier to get through.
Yeah, if we went after the big publications, nothing would have happened. So we avoided it.
Okay. All right. So like if these were some like smaller companies back then, like how much traffic or signups was that driving for you guys?
Oh, not much. Because you have to remember the internet wasn't as popular back then as well, right? But when something drives you 1,000 signups in a month, you're like, oh my God, 1,000 signups. We're crushing it. For a free product. Technically, freemium version. There was a free version and a paid, but yes.
And then at this point, like how big is your blog or how much traffic is your blog generating? Do you have a marketing blog at the time?
I do like around 100,000 visitors a month.
Awesome. So is that like one of the main like significant drivers of signups for this as well?
No, I was silly. I was naive. I didn't even know to use the blog.
What do you mean you didn't know to use the blog?
I didn't know to use a blog to drive signups. Like I didn't think about writing a blog post on my own company. I know this sounds stupid, but didn't think about it.
Were you using the blog for your agency then? Like sign up for like a consultation?
I was using it for agency.
Okay.
You have to keep in mind, you guys do CRO and all this. Like you go back 10, 15 years ago, this stuff wasn't that popular.
Yeah, in 2006, you're just figuring it out, huh?
Dude, WordPress wasn't even popular. I was using movable type as my blogging platform.
Wow.
Just think about that. Everyone's like, WordPress, movable type is the biggest. It's the best. WordPress eventually became the leader. But at the beginning, movable type raised so much venture capital. Everyone's like, oh my God, these guys are the best. There's even, I forgot that site, Technorati. It ranked the popular blogs. Like we realized what's a popular blog based off your Technorati ranking. There was a blog search engine at this time. You weren't even worried about Google. You would be like, oh, I'm on Technorati, right? Like the internet has changed drastically since then. There was no Facebook when I first started.
Yeah, it's big. 2006. Okay. So you're driving these people to like a freemium model. So I guess like kind of what comes next is you put a product out there and like, you know, a lot of people are either going to like not use it on the freemium because they're not interested. How do you start getting like user adoption like into your product and making sure that they're getting value out of it?
You know, honestly, I didn't think about user adoption or any of that. User onboarding adoption, this stuff wasn't popular 10 plus years ago. Seriously, you didn't have tools that made life easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now we have SaaS tools for absolutely everything, even like NPS feedback.
Yeah, you're talking about surveying back then was unique and rare.
So how did you guys get feedback then? Or did you guys just not collect feedback from people?
You know, you talk to the people on the phone, you do emails back and forth, you go to conferences.
Okay.
The way we grew that business back then isn't relevant to today, right? Like the strategies, the same ones won't work necessarily.
Okay. You start talking to people, like, do you have any advice, I guess, around like how you're getting people to upgrade or maybe how you're getting people to stay on your product for a longer amount of time?
Sure. The way I was getting people to stay on my product for a longer amount of time was you just ask them, what do you want me to build? And you build it. We didn't even ask tons of people. We didn't know that, hey, just because people tell you that they want something doesn't mean they're going to pay for it, right? These are all learning experiences. First round doing software. And the blogosphere wasn't talking about lifetime value and churn back then. So it's not like it's somewhere to go to be like, this is how you do it. It's just like churn, LTV, like, oh, you just create something and put it up there. Freemium, free. Like these are all revolutionary concepts right back then.
Freemium must have been like really ahead of its time back then, huh?
Yeah.
Why did you guys decide to go that route?
No reason specifically, just thought it would be cool to make something affordable for people. There was no logic. I wish I could say else, but it It wasn't that. I just did it because I was like, oh, let's make it easy for people who can't afford it to get it up. Plus, at that time we were learning how to do credit card processing and all this. We're like, oh, let's just create like a free plan so we can get people using it.
Okay. It's funny because I think like you probably were on the cutting edge of a lot of the stuff that you were doing, but it sounds like, I don't know if you're just being like humble and like understated about some of the tactics and strategy you guys were using, or really you were just kind of like stumbling through it. I'm not going to tell you I was successful because I was the smartest person. Like that's a bunch of bullshit. Now, when it comes to ad agency and marketing, yeah, sure, I'm really smart and creative and I'm good at that. Like I knew that my potential customers were all on these CSS galleries and they weren't generating enough revenue. So it was really cheap for me to get listed on there, right? Like I was pretty scrappy and that's how crazy I grew. But I wasn't the smartest person, nor was my co-founder when it came to software. We were all learning at the time. What do you think made you most successful then with Crazy Egg? Or looking back, why do you think you were successful?
First mover advantage, that really helped a lot.
And then, so how big did you grow Crazy Egg?
It grew to decent size. It's still around today and it's still growing and it's larger than it was, the previous year and the year before that, etc.
Is it any kind of like ballpark size you could give us? Number of customers or maybe revenue range?
I don't know the exact customer base, but I know it's like tens and tens of thousands. I don't know what the exact number is. I don't keep track of that. I keep track of revenue and LTV and stuff like that in churn.
Okay. We'll get back to the show in a minute, but first a quick thanks to our sponsor, Lead Quizzes. If you want to grow your business to 7 figures and beyond, you must learn how to generate leads predictably. When I first started my business, lead generation felt like riding a roller coaster. I would have huge sales months and then months with nothing. This happened because I relied solely on referrals and networking to grow my business. Predicting growth and investing in the future were frightening because I didn't have control over my lead generation. That was before we created Lead Quizzes. Now I predictably generate leads in my sleep and have stopped worrying about where the next sale will come from. Top marketers like Neil Patel and Lewis House have used Lead Quizzes to increase their lead capture by up to 500%. Think about it. Quizzes are fun, engaging, and you can offer personalized feedback in exchange for your quiz taker's contact information. Lead Quizzes is a software that allows you to set up high-converting quizzes quickly without having to hire an expensive programmer. In fact, our users have generated over 3 million leads for their businesses. Take control of your lead generation today and start your 14-day free trial by going to leadquizzes.com/podcast. All right, so you grew that, and this kind of brings us up to about like 2008 where you started Kissmetrics, your next software product?
Yeah.
Okay. And so why did you guys decide to start this product?
Kissmetrics was Crazy Egg 2.0. We tried raising money for Crazy Egg. People said no. We spun it out into Kissmetrics, created a brand new company, and people liked that idea.
Why do you think that is?
Because there was no revenue traction to be based off of. And plus, I got better at pitching over time.
Okay, so what was Kissmetrics built to solve?
LTV and churn, because that's the issues we face at Crazy. We're like, oh, why don't we track all this and build a software that helps with all of this?
Awesome. So I'm kind of experiencing that right now with Lead Quizzes, where we're launching like a new product, and you kind of have to start over with like, pushing more people onto this product so you can start getting more data and stuff. So what was that like building this new product? I'm sure it took you a decent amount of time, and then you start onboarding people onto it.
That's correct. It takes a good amount of time. You onboard, you end up learning. Now with Lead Quizzes, it's a bit easier for the tracking and all of that and trying to figure out the onboarding and user experience. You also have more competition too, and it's more expensive to get into the market. So there's pros and cons, but yeah, it's, good product. I've used it before.
Yeah. So like with Kissmetrics, what was that process like of you going out and like launching it again? Did you just launch it to the same tactics through press and through like your search?
Correct. It was mainly through press. This time we created a blog on that site, generated signups from that as well. But those are the main two avenues. We didn't really have to do paid ads. We had a lot of leads.
Okay. And so Crazy Egg and Kissmetrics, those are both pretty big blogs. So like, what were the strategies behind how you guys started growing those blogs?
Just write a shitload of content that's high in quality. There really was no strategy other than that.
Okay.
You have to keep in mind, back then when we started those blogs, it wasn't as competitive as it is now. Nowadays, you can't do that. Now you have to write amazing content. You have to build links. You have to get social shares, right? And you have to keep doing it consistently. You have to build an email list. You have to capture push notifications, subscribers. Like, it's a mixture of everything to have a popular blog.
Okay.
You could run lead quizzes. We used to run lead quizzes on one of our blogs. It was good.
Yeah. So if we talk through that, like if you're starting over, like let's say you're doing Lead Quizzes marketing, like how would you start to build like your content team to really grow, a new blog?
Does the audience know your revenue?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start off there. What's your current revenue?
So our current revenue is 100,000 a month.
Okay, and what's your goal?
Our goal is to get to 2 to 3 million by the end of the year.
Per year, not monthly.
Per year, yeah.
And you want to all self-service?
Yes.
So how much are you charging for the software?
On average, about $50 a month.
What's your LTV?
Our LTV is about just under $1,000.
So it's not too bad. What I would do if I were you is I would go find all the other similar solutions out there in your space, like Unbounds, lead pages, etc., and do cross promotions. You'll find that you'll get to your revenue numbers quicker than any other way when you do cross promotions.
Okay.
I wouldn't start a blog. The blogging isn't the correct way if you're really trying to hit a few million. If you're trying to go enterprise or you're trying to go self-service and you want to hit 10 million, sure, you could do a blog, but you don't need the blog for the first few million in revenue. Or you create a freemium model, right? Like all that stuff works better than creating a blog, especially at the beginning.
Okay. Why do you say that? Because the blog just takes so long to get going?
Yeah, blog takes a long time to get going. What most people don't realize about blogging is they think, oh, I got 1 million visitors to my blog. It's not the same as getting 1 million visitors to your homepage or to a landing page when people are ready to buy. Huge difference.
Yeah, big difference. I know you talked about this on your marketing school podcast. I think it was maybe last week where you guys are talking about this, or yeah, you have much higher conversions on your homepage or your pricing or your landing page versus
by like 10x or something like that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're going to go out and do like this cross promotion strategy, I mean, you start picking these people like Unbalanced landing page, what would your strategy be? You guys go do like a joint webinar on a specific topic of how to use the products together?
You can. It's easier if they just send out an email blast to their user list showcasing what you did.
Showcase a joint case study?
Yeah, the joint webinars work as well, but you don't need it for a $50 product, right? So
okay. All right. So was that the strategy with like Kissmetrics and Crazy Egg? Did you guys do a lot of like joint promotions to grow those two products?
No, the strategy back then was you just go to conferences, you speak. We did blogging at the same time. And that was really it to get the word out there.
Yeah. So like you said, in our case, you said you would focus on cross promotions over a blog. In what case should they focus on like growing their blog?
If you're a company who wants to build a long-term brand and you see yourself trying to create that 10, 20, 50 million a year in revenue business, blog is useful. You don't need a blog to create a business under $10 million.
Okay.
You need that community to really help you grow. If you want to get above 10, and it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time, it's just not worth it unless you want to create a business that's like 10 plus.
Okay. Awesome. So I know like you even did this like recently, like with Nutrition Secrets, like a couple of years ago. You started this blog and you grew it to, I believe, $100,000 a month within a year. So maybe we could talk through like some of that strategy. So I know you brought on Mike, one of your partners. Was he the sole writer that was like working with you at this time?
Correct.
And then so what was his strategy? You guys were pumping out an article like every single day?
Yeah, but he knows nutrition. So he would just write on a topic that he knows that was interesting. He would use sites like Reddit and Quora to see what's popular, write on popular topics. He would then go email out everyone who linked to the competition, begged them for links. He would go email out whoever did social sharing for the competition, begged them for social shares. That was the model. Once you get the traffic, then what we did is push people to Amazon for a physical product. And then once you get some traction, Amazon pretty much kicks in and you start ranking and you do well naturally within Amazon.
Okay, yeah. So you guys started selling this fish oil on Amazon, and then I believe you started to get them to like review, and that's like what really turns it on for Amazon.
Correct, because you know if you have a lot of emails, your email list is very loyal, right? So
okay, and then so yeah, like you also focused on email list growth. So maybe you want to pick one of your blogs and talk about your strategies of how you've grown that. I think on Neil Patel, I think for a long time you did a webinar.
Content upgrades, webinars, pop-ups. Those are the main methods I use.
Okay, let's see. So Neil, did you like in any of these businesses with your agency, Crazy Egg Kissmetrics, were there any like times where you felt like the business was going to fail?
Yeah, every single time.
Could you share an example?
Running out of money, not knowing how to like pay bills, can't grow, losing clients. The list goes on and on. There's uncertainty in almost every business.
Yeah, I mean, we go through it all the time. So I asked the question because I think a lot of people go through that.
It's different for every person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because you lose a big client. Sometimes it's because your revenue stops growing. You're like, shit, we stopped growing. That means we're probably going to go down from there, which is usually true. Sometimes it's because you get a lawsuit. Sometimes it's because you had venture funding and you ran out of money and you're struggling to get your next round. Like, there's no generic answer, but it happens to everyone.
I guess the question is leading into like, how do you get through those moments?
You just push forward. If you're passionate, you'll figure it out. There's no real trick to get through those moments. No one can hold your hand and support you, be like, oh, it's okay, baby. You're going to do all right. That's not reality. Reality is you suck it up, you push forward, you either make it or you won't, and you get used to it. Like, it's just the way the world works, especially in the entrepreneurial landscape.
Yeah, for sure. Neil, is there anything like that you've worked on like so far that you think like, what's the one thing that had the biggest impact on your growth?
The biggest thing that had the impact in my growth, I would say, is it's not one. Honestly, isn't. And I get this question phrased in different ways because I do an interview probably almost every single day. Sometimes it's what you mentioned. Sometimes it's what's the one thing that made your business successful? What's the one thing that helped you get to where you are? And I honestly have to say it's just a lot of little things that add up. There's no rocket ship, silver bullet. There's no one thing that made me be like, oh, this is how you do entrepreneurship. It's just a lot of little things. And if I had to sum it up, it would be I failed a lot. And I learned that as you make mistakes, it's okay. Just learn from them and avoid making the same one over and over again. Eventually, that'll lead you to doing the right thing, right?
Do you think part of this is maybe a mindset around like not trying to find that silver bullet or like the thing that's going to take you like over, but continue to just...
Oh, no, I always try to find that silver bullet. As a kid, I dreamed about the silver bullet. Like, oh, I do this, revenue's going to 3x. Like, I dreamed about the silver bullet. Heck, I still dream about the silver bullet. No, it's always a lot of little things. I don't really dream about it every day, but I would say once a quarter, I get a glimpse of something. I was like, oh my God, this could be huge and change around the business. But it's usually a lot of little things that'll add up to making that happen.
Do you think that helps gives you this mindset of like, just keep focusing on like the long-term vision versus the short me to see?
Yeah, well, I've never known how to make money in the short run. I've been terrible at that. So I just stick with long run.
Okay. Neil, if you had to go back in time and start over, what would you tell yourself?
Do one company. Don't do too many.
All right. How come? You've done a bunch of companies.
Focus. I would have made more money if I focused.
So if you'd gone back and you'd focused on any one thing, what do you think you would have focused on?
Ad agency would have been the easiest one.
Okay.
And funny enough, I have another ad agency today, right? I don't think most people know.
Yeah.
It's called Neil Patel Digital. But the reason being is I'm known to be the guy who gets traffic to websites. So might as well say I'm going to do only one thing and just focus on that and get people a shitload of traffic and call it a day because that's what I'm probably better at mostly.
Yeah, that's interesting. You'd have like the Gary Vaynerchuk competing business, huh?
Yeah.
VaynerMedia.
Mine's much smaller. Our growth rate's crazy though.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was telling one of my friends our revenue and I'm like, we're so slow. It's been 7 months. Technically, today will be the finishing of our 7th month. And I was just like, yeah, we should be at $1 million to $2 million a month. And he's just like, you're crazy. And he knows our numbers. And he's just like, this is amazing. He's like, most people don't even do this revenue in the first year or two. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I want more. I'm just never happy.
So I remember like, I've heard one of the reasons you said you went into Crazy Egg was because you felt like the agency model wasn't as like scalable and you wanted to grow your own business.
Correct. But now I have money. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not rich, but I have money. And I'm able to do an agency where I don't have to do the operations or go into the office. So now it's not as bad.
Okay. So you have other people that are able to like manage it for you?
Yeah. Like we're growing fast. We probably hire a person every single week, if not more.
Okay. So they get to deal with the headaches, huh?
Yeah. Which is decent growth for being in business for 7 months, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I would say like, Neil, one of the things that I've learned from you is like, for people listening is like SEO. I know you said focus on, some of these cross promotions. We focused on SEO because it's one of the few like channels where it actually has compounding growth. Literally, we can like shut off all of our writing and we're still bringing in traffic every single month from those. Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's where majority of your signups come from. But what we found is SEO is great. And we recommend all software companies do it. It's just, if you're only trying to hit $1 million or $2 million, you don't need to do that. There's easier ways because SEO takes a long time. While doing cross promotions, you can get there in theory in 3-4 months, right? If you can get enough deals done.
Yeah. And ClickFunnels is probably a good example of that. I don't know if they focused a lot on their SEO, but they did a lot of affiliate marketing.
tons of affiliate, and they're at what, like 6 million a month, something like that, right?
I'm not sure what they're at. Yeah.
So I think they're at 6 a month, somewhere around there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Neil, thanks so much for like sharing your journey with us today. Where's a good place for people to reach out and learn more about you or connect with you?
neilpatel.com or neilpateldigital.com if you want my ad agency.
Awesome. All right. And then I highly recommend any of his products. We use Crazy Eggs for a long time. We use Kissmetrics. I read a lot of his blogs for like SEO and marketing as well as his podcast. So definitely go check out Neil and follow his stuff. I know that you'll learn a lot from him.
Thanks.
Yeah, Neil, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
No worries. Best of luck.
Thanks again for listening to our show this week. If you want to find out more about Neil Patel and the lessons he shared today or read our show notes, visit leadquizzes.com/17. If you'd like to start generating more leads for your business and get a free trial to Lead Quizzes, go to leadquizzes.com/podcast. Next week, I'll be interviewing Justin Gray on how he built his agency to $5.6 million in revenue last year. Please subscribe to our show so you don't miss this next episode. I'm Jeremy Ellens, and you've been listening to Journey to Seven Figures.